session today. I want to introduce you to Jonathan Van Driessen, and he is also the co-founder and CTO of one of our amazing sponsors, Deselect, and so I will let him take it from here.
Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I don't know, do we need to wait another minute or so for people to come in? I think maybe we should. I'll just wait 1 more minute. In the meantime, can I get some conversation going in the chat here? Can you all let me know where you're from, please? As you may hear from my accent, I'm not American. I'm actually from Antwerp, Belgium, Washington State, Indiana, Texas. Where in Texas are you from? We recently opened up an office in Austin, Dallas, Indianapolis, Charlotte. Awesome. Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana. Perfect. Anyone from outside the US here? Orlando, Melbourne. Great, London. Some people on this side of the ocean. Philly. I lived in Philly for half a year. Very nice city. Chicago. Okay. Well, lovely to have you all here. Let's see if I can start sharing my screen. Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so welcome everyone. Let's kick off the presentation. Looks good. Alrighty, let's get started. So yes, thank you for the introduction, Jenny. So indeed, my name is Jonathan Van Driessen. I'm co-founder and CTO of Deselect. A little bit of background of myself. Both my co-founder and I have been doing Salesforce consulting, both on the core platform side as well as the marketing cloud platform. And as we were doing consulting, we noticed some pain points in those platforms, and that's when we decided to start a company that is focused on marketing enablement solutions. So that's what we are focused on right now. But I'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. But basically, we started the company 3 years ago. We have about 70 customers right now, and that's what has given us the context and the knowledge that I want to share with you guys today. So what we'll be talking about today, it's about delivering the right message and looking at how that can increase conversions. We look into some specific strategies, best practices that world-class marketing teams leverage. We'll also look at tech stack that's required to get the job done, and we'll be looking at a marketing saturation, something that you may have been hearing about quite a bit recently. But first, I want to use the chat here again to see what are you currently already doing to send the right message? Are you currently already doing or considering certain strategies, like when it comes to personalization or segmentation? Let me hear in the chat, please. I want to do a quick poll here to see, where you guys are at in terms of maturity. I'm not seeing any responses yet, so onboarding, yes. Trying segmentation, your time constraints, yeah, it's difficult, right? Difficult to execute in time, I know. We hear from customers all the time who say, we're not doing the kind of segmentation and personalization we want to do because it takes too long. Segmentation, annual contract renewal. Yeah, okay. Figuring out our brand message, yeah, very important. Harmonizing social media platforms. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Let's dive into the content. So 5 topics I want to cover today. Why is segmentation critical? Strategic approaches, best practices in Salesforce Marketing Cloud, world-class tech stack, and why saturation control matters. So starting with why segmentation is critical. I don't know if you've ever seen this metric before, but 88% of customers say the experience a company provides is as important as its products or services. Now, that's already quite a high bar, right? 88%, and then that's up from 80% in 2020. So this is a number that is going down. But also, if you look at the other bars that we have here, like the kind of expectations that people have these days, the bar is quite high. I expect companies to understand my unique needs and expectations. They even expect companies to anticipate their needs. They want to feel an emotional connection to the brands, and they want to get always personalized offers. So, I mean, the bar is high for a marketer. It's not easy to be a marketer these days, right? If you want to um, fulfill the expectations that people have. So, the challenge for you as a marketer is targeting the right people, getting the message right, understanding the data that you need to get all of this done, and getting all the data into your platform. So let's look at a simple example. So let's say I have Salesforce Marketing Cloud with some pretty basic data. So I have my contacts data like names, email, and so on. I have purchases data, so actual transactions, actual orders that happened, and then some behavioral data like did people open up my emails, did they click on it, which emails did we send. And so if you want to do even a very basic segmentation or even personalization email, and you would say, hey, dear Mary, so Mary is the first name coming from the contact data. Congrats on getting your shoes. So shoes is coming from that purchase table that we have, right? So even to do something simple as this, you would need to blend those different data sources. You need to join the different tables. Now, for that, if you use Salesforce Marketing Cloud, you may know that that's not possible with the standard segmentation functionalities. And it means you would have to write SQL or SQL. And so here's a question for the marketers in the session. Who of you knows SQL? Or just let me know, what is your knowledge of SQL level? Do you know SQL or not at all? Zero? Yeah. Beginner? Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. None. Yes, so that's very typical, right? And I think for us as a company, our vision is also that marketers, they should not have to know SQL. That's why we also developed a product where we allow marketers to do segmentation without having to understand SQL. Okay, now that we've established that segmentation is critical, let's talk about some strategic approaches that you can take. So here are some typical segmentation strategies. So the first one, cross-sell campaigns. So you're going to be targeting someone who has product A, but doesn't have product B, right? So you basically want to sell them product B. An upsell. An upsell basically means trying to sell more or maybe a more expensive version to a same customer. So in that case, the kind of data query that you would want to build is you want to find the customers that have purchased the product, but some time ago. So the purchase date is before a certain date. And also, they don't have any complaints. You probably don't want to reach out to people who just logged a complaint with your customer success team or with your support team. Churn avoidance. So this is where you're going to be segmenting on customers that have a certain lifetime value. So like they bought a certain amount from you in the past, or you're setting a certain threshold and you're targeting the customers that are above that threshold. And also their last purchase date is some time ago. So you want to reactivate those customers. You want them to not churn, but continue buying from you. And then behavioral. You may not have thought about this yet, but making use of the behavioral data that exists in most marketing automation platforms, like the opens. So if you send an email, do people open it? Do they click through in those emails? Segmenting on that behavioral data can be very valuable. So in this case, you would be targeting people who have opened more than 20 emails in the last 6 months, and also that have a certain click-through percentage on those emails that you send, that they're actually clicking through to your website and accepting your offers. And then lastly, regional. So in that case, you're probably going to want to filter on a certain location, maybe the zip code of the customer, maybe where they have done a purchase. You will be looking at order history and probably also want to filter on certain products. Now, those are some different segmentation strategies that we see customers use. But then there is the expectation and the reality of the customer. Only 5% of US consumers say that email offers are well timed with their needs. So again, here's a question for you. How confident are you in your marketer's team ability to reach your customers with the right message at the right time? So again, a question in the chat. Maybe give me a score of 1 to 5. How confident are you that you, as a marketer, with your team, are delivering the right message at the right time? Okay, Jenny says 3. Okay, both Jenny's. Jennifer. Okay, 3, 2, 2, 4. Okay, Anthony's confident. Gina 2. Right. Look, the bar is high for marketers, right? It's, as I said, it's not easy. Yes, Anthony. So look, you see, it probably all depends on how long have you been doing this and what tools do you have available to get the job done. But if I look here at the average score, it's probably like 2.5, 3 maybe. So there's room for improvement, I would say. Let's look at some best practices in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So this is what I mentioned earlier. In Marketing Cloud, you have this basic view of, you can create data filters, which is basically saying, look, here I have my data extension. Then there's this nice UI that allows you to filter on certain fields. So here I'm filtering for country United States or Belgium, and then a birthday on a given date. The trick is you can only use this for a data extension, so only for one data source. So looking back at my example that I gave before, I would only be able to filter on either like my customers or only at my transactional data, but I cannot combine the two. If I want to filter on, let's say, orders and contact data at the same time, I would have to write a SQL query. And this is what it looks like. Quick question in the chat. Does this look scary to you? Or do you feel like, yeah, I can handle this. I can do this. Yeah, scary, maybe. Yeah. I think for most people, awesome data. Yes, I think it is a bit scary, right? And look, as a marketer, this is not what you learn in school or on the job. This is what IT people typically learn. And it's something that takes a lot of practice to get right and to really understand the data model. So in case you don't know SQL, there are solutions out there that allow you to do that kind of SQL building, getting the data together using drag and drop, where you, for example, here in this select segment, what you can do is you drag and drop the different data sources that you want. So I would say, yes, I need to get my customer data and my orders data together. And then with that, I can easily do that matching. Another thing you will need to think about is calculating values. So this is, for example, in this case, I'm looking at the sum of the total amounts of my orders. So this is where I would be looking at the lifetime value for a customer, for example. But other calculations that you may want to do and filter on is things like churn risk or credit scores or like the money spent, and then probably even filtering that to a certain amount of time. Or also, in case you want to reach out to those people who don't have complaints, you probably want to count, like get contacts where the count of the number of complaints is actually 0. So this is when you need to make a calculation, but you don't need to store that value that you're calculating into a data extension. You don't need to refer to it in your email, but you do want to filter on it when you do your segmentation. Then another thing is creating target data extensions on the fly. Probably another pain point for many of you in Marketing Cloud. But if you're going to be creating a lot of campaigns, you're going to be creating and personalized campaigns specifically, you're going to be creating a lot of data extensions. And then to always be creating those in Marketing Cloud, it's quite a hassle. So that's why in our Select segment product, we build functionality that automatically creates the data extensions in your Marketing Cloud environment that fits the campaign or the segmentation that you're doing. And then there is more personalization through custom values. So in the example that I have on the screen here, Some of you may actually be able to do this with AmScript if you're a bit more technical, but let's say that in your database you have for customers, you have the gender. So simple example here, male and female. So in maybe in your email you want to say, hey, dear Mr. or dear Mrs. Again, depending on whether the person is male or female. Another use case for this is like when you have product codes or even country codes. You don't want to show that country code or product code to the customer. You do want to have the name of the product or the name of the country in your email. So that's where these custom values come in. And then previewing. If you want to be able to easily run a query, run a segmentation, see what the results look like, see if you actually have values in all of the fields that you're expecting, and then looking at the total number of records that you have, and then potentially going back and forth to iterate on your results. If you want to do this in Marketing Cloud, you will be switching continuously between creating SQL query, running it, and then switching to another studio where you can see the results in your data extension, and then going back and forth, which really is not it's not very efficient. And then waterfall segmentation. Really, again, here it depends on how mature you are and how complex the kind of personalization segmentation is that you want to do. But thinking of a use case where different steps are needed to get to your final result. And that can be, for example, we're starting with all EMEA customers, then we're going to filter down to only the ones in Central Europe. And then in the end, we're ending up with Eastern Central Europe. So in each of those steps, you would be losing people from your original audience, but it may be needed to do multiple steps to get to the result that you need, especially if you're working with large data sets where the queries in Marketing Cloud can start timing out. So you want to avoid it and split up your different steps. Alrighty, I'll actually skip this step because I see we're already a bit short on time. Marketing Cloud, Marketing Ops tech stack. If you're in the Salesforce ecosystem, you'll hear a lot about CDP, called Genie these days. You may also be aware of data warehouses, which are basically databases in which you collect data from different sources. And then there's marketing enablement. For us, that means making it easy for marketers to work with the data that exists in their marketing automation platform. Now, if you're going to be thinking about what should I use, they all have their place. But generally, CDPs and data warehouses, they are a lot more expensive, and they're typically not owned by the marketers. They're typically more owned by data specialists. And what we see is that still creates a dependency between the marketing team and the people managing that other solution, whether it's a CDP or a data warehouse. And we spoke with a customer recently who said, yes, we have a data warehouse from which we ingest data into Marketing Cloud that we can then segment on. But every time we want to make a change, and that happens on a regular basis, we do need to wait for 2 months before we get that new data or that updated data in. And so having those kind of lead times makes it very hard for you as a marketer to do fast on the fly campaigns that are personalized. Also, the time to value is considerable. If you've ever looked into the details of what it actually takes of implementing a CDP or a data warehouse, you're usually talking about 3 to 12 months, including a lot of budget and a lot of stakeholders that need to be involved to getting this done. And lastly, I'll say definitely there are use cases for CDPs, data warehouses. I think if you can, it makes sense to marketing data enablement. Work with the data that you have available in your marketing automation platform, and the two can coexist. You can have a CDP that is owned by data specialists that makes like a generic, let's say, segments of people that are eligible to be receiving emails, for example. But in the end, you do need to have that flexibility as a marketer to be able to create those personalized segmentations and provide the experience that the customers are looking for. Okay, and then saturation control. Another word for this, by the way, is like frequency capping. There's actually two reasons why you want to think about this. One is to avoid oversaturation, the other one is to avoid undersaturation. Maybe starting with undersaturation, you do want to avoid that you're not sending enough messages to the people that have indicated that they want to hear from you. That is also not an experience that you want to provide to your customers, right? If you're a fan of a brand, you want to hear from that brand, you want to get offers, and so you want to make sure that you reach the people with the right frequency. And also thinking from a money point of view, if you're not making offers to your subscriber base, you're leaving money on the table because you probably spent quite a bit of money to actually get that customer on your list in the first place. But then also important is, of course, avoiding oversaturation, especially if you send too many messages to someone, that will lead to marketing fatigue, meaning basically they stop reading your emails, the engagement goes down, and in worst case, even unsubscribes, and that actually literally costs you money. So here's another question to the audience. Who has ever unsubscribed from a list because they received too many emails? All the time, almost daily. Yeah, Jenny, yes. Yeah, I think almost everyone, right? And I'll get to why that is in a second. But I think this is really something that has, the problem has become bigger and bigger in the last couple of years. So why should you think about saturation control? You want to limit, basically want to find the sweet spot of the number of messages of communication that you're going to send to a certain person on your list. And typically that translates into like a rule where, for example, I want to send 3 emails per 15 days maximum. So with this line here, the arrow being the time, we have the time box here of 15 days. And each dot is a communication that will send out. So one communication was sent out before our 15-day time span started. We've already sent out 2 in the past, and then we are today, but we have 2 more communications planned. So now think about it. If we want to respect this rule of 3 communications per 15 days, which of the 2 are we going to send? It's not a straightforward question. I'll show you some examples. So what if we have, I just showed an example where I just have 2, but what if you actually have 3 communications to be sent tomorrow and then 1 after? So one way that you can go about this is just saying, okay, the first email that comes, or the first campaign that's planned, I'm just going to send out that one. And then basically then I'm hitting my 3 emails per 15 days. And then that means bad luck for the 2 next ones that will be sent out tomorrow, and the one that's planned to be sent later. Bad luck because I hit my threshold of 3 emails. So that's one way of looking at it. But what if the one in the future is actually more important, right? So here's another example where we still have those 4 communications, but the one that's furthest in the future is one that the CEO is pressuring you to send out to all customers. So basically what you would need to do to still respect the rule is to drop this one, drop the 3rd one, and then only show or send the 4th one. So you need to have a system in place that can handle this. And then here's one more thing to think about it. The examples I gave so far, they're pretty straightforward. They are like assuming that everybody will receive all campaigns, but in reality, that's not the case. Some people will be receiving campaign 1 and 3, others will be receiving campaign 2 and 4. So it's actually, you need to think from the user perspective, not from a campaign perspective. And that's just something that's super hard to do. So this leads me to conclude that we're actually early when it comes to saturation control. The reason this is becoming a pain point today is that, one, marketing automation. Think about the number of journeys that you have in Marketing Cloud, for example. If you have tens of journeys or maybe even hundreds of them, how can you even keep track of what communications one person is receiving? It's super hard, right? Marketing maturity, where in the early 2000s we were all just sending, hey, dear Mary, dear first name. Now we're trying to do a lot more advanced things. And also marketing teams are growing. If you have one subscriber base and you have, for example, 10 marketers all working that same subscriber base, and every marketer has their own have their own agenda, their own campaigns that they want to push. Then of course everybody's trying to get their messages through, but nobody's actually thinking from the perspective of one subscriber, like, hey, um, is the number of communications that this subscriber is receiving, is that actually okay or not? And then yeah, the third reason is the increased customer expectations. People want to get personalized offers at the right time, the right message, and also multi-channel. The more channels you're including into the mix, the harder it becomes to manage all of this. So my conclusion here is this is a new concept. There's also a new technology. As we started looking into this beginning of the year, as we saw that different customers were struggling with this, and there are no good solutions out there. We see a lot of custom built solutions built by companies like by consultants basically, and then there is Einstein frequency, the frequency solution. But that's very basic. That's just first come first serve, and you cannot set any rules. And also we surveyed all our customers, and it seems that nobody is using the Einstein solution. And from the conversations we've had with our customers, we see that look, almost everybody with more than 3 marketers is looking into this. Companies are actively considering solutions to manage saturation control. And I think the companies that don't do this, they will be hit the hardest with unsubscribes if they are sending too many communications. So quick question here, who has been thinking about this concept of saturation control? And do you have something in place already? Okay, and yes, suppression lists. Yeah, that's a rather basic implementation, but it can work. Yes, if your use case is not too complex. Without prioritization, yeah. So that's what we see. Like most companies, they do have some kind of controls in place, but it's typically without prioritization. So it doesn't allow you to say what is more important. It will just be we reached the limit of, let's say, 3 communications. Work on a preference center. Yes, preference center will also help. It will allow the customer themselves to indicate how many messages they want to receive and make sure that they're only getting what is relevant for them. Okay. So I mentioned before, like since the beginning of the year, we have been looking into this. We actually have been working on a solution. I will share what we have built, and you can use it as inspiration for whatever you want to implement in your company, just so that you can consider what are the different aspects that you should be thinking about if you're going to build a solution. Okay, so what we build is a customizable saturation control solution based on rules. So it allows you to define rules where you say for certain campaign types, for certain contact types, I want to set up certain rules that the system needs to respect. And then I can also prioritize campaigns. So I can upload my campaigns and I can say this campaign is more important than that one. And then the system that does all the calculations just needs to take all of this into account when deciding if a certain communication can go through to a certain user, yes or no. We support omni-channel and it's plug and play. So there's no learning time like you have with Einstein, for example. Okay, so the first screen, as I just said, it's basically 3 different steps. The first one is creating the rules. And so here I have an example of a rule where I say for marketing emails, and this rule applies only for active contacts. Again, like how you put your contacts into different categories, it's up to you. And that's very context specific. But let's say that we have active contacts and inactive contacts and maybe leads. So for the active contacts, I set up my rule that we can send 2 marketing emails per 15 days. So marketing, it's a type of campaign. Maybe I have sales emails, I have marketing emails, maybe I have surveys, customer success emails. And then email is a channel. So we can do email, we can do push, SMS, whatever is relevant for your company. Then the second thing we build is a calendar view, so that as a marketer you can plan your campaigns, but also we do a pre-calculation of what saturation levels we are expecting on a certain campaign. So here in green we are indicating that, hey, the majority of people that you have said should be receiving this communication will receive it. Based on all the rules, those emails will go through. However, we also have some campaigns in orange here. So there, the number of people that will not be receiving the email is already higher. And then here I have one campaign in red where it's really this is a concern. Here, more than 50% of the people that we segmented will not be receiving the communication because of the saturation control rules that exist. So this allows you as a marketer to reschedule your campaigns or change the segmentation so that you can optimize for the maximum amount of people receiving the communication that you're in the campaign that you're preparing. And then lastly, we build an element for Journey Builder. So what we do is in each journey that you're doing a send in, right before the send, you drag and drop a Journey Builder element that will evaluate if that person should be receiving the communication at that point, yes or no. So it's actually a split element. So it creates an unsaturated or undersaturated branch and saturated. So if somebody is saturated, you're not going to do the send, then you would just exit the journey, or maybe you can even do a retry. Let's say wait a day and then do a retry. But if somebody is unsaturated, so they are eligible to receive a campaign, again, according to all priorities and the rules that have been defined in the system, then you can do the send and maybe even do an Einstein send time optimization before that. There's no limitation there. So that's how the system that we built works. And the benefit of having a system like this is it allows you to do future impact prioritization instead of just being first in, first out. Support for unlimited channels. As you can see, it has quite a nice front end, while most solutions are based on SQL and don't really have a UI that you can configure. You can set up custom rules, which is not possible in Einstein, for example. And this is really an important aspect. We've surveyed our customers, and they said that they don't not using Einstein because it's a black box. It's machine learning, right? But and the idea there is good. But what if, as a marketer, you get a request from the business to send an email to, let's say, 100,000 people, and the machine learning decides that it's only going to send it to 70,000 people. It's quite tough to to say to the business there, I didn't send out 30% of my emails, but I don't know why. And then lastly, it's a fully managed SaaS solution, so it's not something that you have to build or maintain yourself. So I hope this was helpful. I'm opening up for questions. Let's see, Jenny, did you get any questions?
I have not seen any come through yet. No.
So does anyone have any questions that I can answer? Whether it's about the segmentation strategies or the technology or the solution, the saturation control. Can this work with Pardot? With this, I assume that you're referring to the saturation control solution, right? We currently built it only for Marketing Cloud. We are looking to expand into different technologies later on, but to be honest, we have not considered Pardot yet, though it's definitely something I'm willing to investigate. Actually, I'm gonna write down your name, and we'll be in touch when we release a version for Pardot. Any other questions? Thank you, Dave. I'm sure we'll win.
Any last questions? Well, Jonathan, that was great session talking about saturation and timeliness and segmentation and all of those things. And Jonathan, they can find Deselect right in the sponsors and resources if they want to reach out today through the rest of Driessen. You can connect with Deselect, and he's also put up an email there to get out
Yes, definitely. So if you want to get in touch, just reach us at hello@dslake.com. Also, we do have a certification program for our product for our drag and drop segmentation solution. So if you're interested in learning more about that product or getting a certification, especially for the consultants here, by the way, we've also already seen companies requesting uh, new employees to be DSLEC certified. So it's actually a good thing for your career as well. But feel free to check that out. And also on our site, we do have an interactive product tour that you can just, with a few clicks, explore our products. And then indeed, we do also have a booth here at the event.
Yes.
I thought there was one more slide, but okay, maybe not. But we do
Oh,
have a booth. We do have a booth that you can still visit in this online conference.
so Angelica was asking, do you offer training classes for getting certified?
Yeah, we have an online learning portal. It's a bit like Salesforce online learning portal, like Trailhead, sorry. And so yes, there you can go in and do all the training that you want.
And does your team, when setting all this up, do they do that for the client and helping them get set up, or is it something where they learn how to do it and they have to implement themselves, or is there what kind of things do you offer as far as that goes?
The installation of our products takes about 20 minutes, and we do take care of that. So we'll just go into your marketing cloud environment, do the right configuration, we do it together, and then you're up and running. Then you're good to go.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for your attention, everyone. It was great to have such an interactive audience. And again, looking forward to continue talking with you at our booth, or send us an email, even connect on LinkedIn with me if you want to. Happy to continue the conversation.
Well, thank you, Jonathan. And again, we have more sessions coming up here the rest of today until the end. Make sure to check out the sponsors and resources. You can find Deselect there if you want to connect with them more. And have a great rest of your final day at Driessen.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you.